How's it going, everybody? And welcome to another episode of the Music Production Podcast. This is Brian Funk. I make music as AfroDJMac. I'm an Ableton certified trainer, producer, songwriter, and now podcaster. And today's episode is going to be called It's Not a Competition. So I think that often you will see, and maybe this is just human nature, that when people are making music or various kinds of art, they'll often see other people that are doing the same thing as their competitors. As if, like, perhaps a person may buy your music or someone else's music, and you have to be the best one there. Or maybe it's a performance at a show, and you want to have the best performance of the night, and then someone else is going to have a better performance. Sometimes I see this sort of set up at some of the clubs that we play at, where they will ask people that are paying to come in which band or act they are there to see. And that often causes a little bit of competition because you want people to say your band, so you get a bigger cut of the door. A lot of times this is kind of that's not a great way to do things, because many times there are people that are here to see many bands. So I always had kind of a problem with that system. But I don't think we should see each other as competition. It's not like one band is Burger King and another is McDonald's, one DJ is, Wendy's or something like that. Because, if you're going to get lunch, you're only going to go to one place. You're going to make the decision to go Burger King, McDonald's, or Wendy's, or hopefully someplace a little healthier. Little production tip if you want to help your mind and body function better so that you can make better music. Stay away from that kind of junk food. So we're not like that, though. If you go to lunch at McDonald's, you're not also going to Burger King. But music is different. Somebody can listen to somebody else's song and then turn on your song next, or watch your band and then listen to another band play later. It's not mutually exclusive. It's not this kind of thing where if you take one, you can't have the other. We can consume all kinds of music. So it's important that we stop competing with each other and start working together and building community. If you want to see a great example of this in action, take a look at the Team Supreme video on Ableton's website. Team Supreme is a collective of producers, mostly based in LA, I believe, and they all work together. They all try to put out a song just about every week or so, I believe it was, and they help each other, and they release it together. And by doing that, they're all promoting each other's work. So think of it like this. If you were on a bit of a compilation album with some different producers, you're probably going to promote that. You're going to say, hey, listen to this. I've got my song on this compilation record, check it out. And you're going to send it out to your fans. And that's what everyone else is going to do also. Of course, they are probably going to be emphasizing their own track, but in the meantime, they're also giving away yours and many other people's as well. This is a great way to reach new people, new listeners. A lot of music is found by word of mouth. I know the best things I've ever heard are the things that people told me to listen to. Hey, check this out. Here's a tape of songs you might like. Here's a CD, or here's a SoundCloud link as we move into this new century. The way I hear music most of the time is through other people suggesting it to me, or even through finding bands that are on the same label, or maybe a compilation or a collaboration, a remix. Things like that. There's usually a connection, and it's important that we build those connections. If we see each other as competition, we're not going to do that. We're going to be working against the other people, and we're not going to be associating ourselves with them. And therefore, we're not going to be able to tap into their fan base and the people that are listening to their work. Very important that we see it as a community and work together, because it's always the subcultures, it's always the scenes that produce the artist. And I think if you look back into some music history and you look at things like the grunge movement in Seattle, house music movements, punk rock in New York City, it's all come because of a collection of people with a similar idea and similar taste and similar mission. It's rare that it ever becomes one band that does everything. Sure, there may be kind of a poster child band that sort of represents the whole thing, but usually that stuff happens because of a collection of artists working together, and maybe just one of them breaks through earlier or at a larger scale. But a lot of times those other artists come along for the ride. So if you're in tight with a particular producer, for instance, and they're making some progress, there's a chance that you may be able to move along with them. You might be able to work together, collaborate, and then feed off of that growth. So I just started listening to somebody by the name of Gary Vaynerchuk. It was recommended to me by my brother. Thanks, Jeff, for that. He's sort of like an entrepreneur, motivational speaker kind of guy. Really, really intense, fast talker. And he was talking about some tips for small businesses, and I'll leave this in the show notes as well. I think it was like an 8-minute podcast, but it had about like 18 billion words in it, because that's just how he talks. But it was packed with useful information. And the subject was really more about like brick and mortar small businesses, but I think it applies to music production and putting out your own music. So the idea is that if you're a small business, your best asset is other small businesses. Now let's take that with music. You're a band, you're a producer. Your best asset are other producers, other bands. Why is this? Because you can work together. You can put on shows together that you're promoting as one, as this kind of get-together. You perhaps even set up a theme, and then you guys can work on some kind of idea that will glue the show together instead of these separate acts performing on the same bill. Now there's some connection and continuity, and it makes it more of an event. So his idea with the small businesses was to go to other small businesses and see what you can offer each other. How can you help? His example started with his own wine business, in which he would take his wine to, say, the hair salon down the street and display some wine, and then hopefully the people will see that and then bring it back to his shop. And at his store, I would imagine he was also giving out some sort of information for the hair salon to help each other. And we can take this in a lot of directions. He took it to restaurants, so now he's got his wine in certain restaurants that are nearby, and now there's that opening of the floodgates for people that are into that particular restaurant and now getting exposed to his wine. So how can we apply this to music and what we're doing? How can we make these connections? I think it's a matter of just connecting some dots. So look at the things you're interested in, for example. Maybe there's a celebrity or a vlogger out there somewhere that's producing content all the time. Offer to give them some free music. Hit them up, send them an email, leave a comment, or whatever it is. Offer your music for them to use inside their work. Now, if it's somebody that's super consistent and doing a lot of this stuff, they're probably going to need it. And if you have something to offer that maybe fits into their sort of vibe or genre, you might just be the thing that gets through. And not that you're necessarily going to ask for money to do this, but your real gain is the exposure, so that if these people are getting X number of views, some small percentage of that may check out your music and become a fan of yours. So interconnecting like that. One of the ways I've done it myself was through guest blogging on different sites, making videos for other sites, and now with the podcast it's been great because now I can talk to different people and have this channel going that way. There's, I'm sure, plenty more opportunities and ways to capitalize on this. But turn inward to your own group, to the people that are doing the same thing that you're doing, and I think you'll find a lot of opportunity. But then also ask yourself, what are some other avenues? What are some other places? Maybe you're part of some kind of activist group. Perhaps putting on a concert would be a great thing to do, or selling a compilation album online, or CDs if you want to still do that. And giving some of the profits or all of the profits, whatever you want, to this particular cause that you're supporting. Trying to find connections. See what you can do to make your stuff valuable to other people and find their value and put it to yours as well. Remember that we're all trying to build our followings, our fans. We're all trying to grow. And some of the best ways you can do it is by tapping into another group. You may, over time, get your trickle of new people listening to your work, checking out what you're doing. But there's nothing like finding someplace else that already has a built-in set of fans or listeners or viewers or whatever they might be, and tapping into that. Especially if it's something that ties into with what you're doing. It could be clothing companies. It could be other visual artists. There's plenty of places. I'm sure lots of visual artists are looking for music to go with their stuff. Game developers are looking for music. People need music. People need what you do. And if you are doing a nice enough job at it and you're finding ways to make these connections, it's going to help you grow. There's a bit of a hustle to it, and sometimes that's a turn-off, but that's something we have to do. It's part of the game. And try not to see it as such a negative thing, as like kind of selling your soul or anything like that. I hear that a lot. I'm not good at promotion. I don't want to, put myself in people's face. Well, don't put yourself in people's face. Don't be annoying. Don't spam. Don't knock on people's doors randomly. Don't bother them. Try to find out how you can offer them value, how you can take what you have and make it meaningful to them. That's the real key. How can you make it meaningful? So, if you are a person that sees other producers as competition, and maybe, you see success in someone it can definitely promote some jealousy. I've felt that myself. It's human, I believe. But try not to see it like that. See it as anything that helps one person is going to help you too. If it helps a person you're affiliated with, it can help you too. You can grow and you can ride that wave. And you should root those people on, the people you believe in. Be their biggest supporter. Help them out. I've found the more I help other people out, the more they're willing to help me out. And that can be small little things from just retweeting stuff, or actually going out of your way to, maybe it'll be a blog post or a video I make, but by helping others, it comes back to you. And it also helps you become a person that people look to for information, for guidance, if you're sharing the things you love and you're adding value to it. I think if we can look around us and find ways to help each other with our work, it will ultimately help our work. But if we look at it as a competition and we isolate ourselves and we separate ourselves, then we're going to have problems. We're not going to grow. We're only going to get our small trickle, and maybe you'll get lucky, but there's nothing like an army fighting a war than individual soldiers doing it separately. That's the little lesson for today. I hope you find it useful. I think it's really important, and so much of the growth I've experienced is because of the people around me. As much as I'd like to say I've done it myself or believe that I had the power alone, we really don't. It's all about community. It's all about cooperation. So seek that, embrace that, and look for ways to help others. Look for ways to add value to what other people are doing, and you will ultimately add value to your own work. Thanks a lot for listening to the Music Production Podcast. Lots of great stuff coming up, some great guests, and some people I'm really excited to talk to. So thank you for listening. Please, if you have time, leave a review. Share this episode with someone on social media. There's nothing like word of mouth to help get the word out. Thanks again, and have a great day.